So I have here two MacBooks. On this side, we have the 14-inch MacBook Pro 2023 with M3 chip inside, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and this is the silver color. And this one we have here, the updated 2024, actually 2022 MacBook Air M2, but updated in 2024 by giving them 16 gigabytes of RAM as standard. So this is 8 gigabytes of RAM, this is 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I just want to just give you a quick comparison about these two. If you have, if you're thinking of buying one versus the other one. So upon using both of these devices, this one I used it for a couple of months. This one I used it for a couple of weeks. But basically, the design of the Air and the Pro pretty much are the same. So, I mean, are the same in terms of when they came out. So the 2020 came up M1, and then with the redesign 2022. So this one basically M2, M3, or the next generation M4 Air, they're going to come up. I think it's going to be M4, the same design as this one. So we have the design of this one, and right now we have the M4 that just came out, and this and the design is exactly the same with maybe some small upgrades or big upgrades, whatever you want to call it. But the design pretty much are the same. So you can see here, if you pick it up between these two, you have, from my experience, you have just a couple of reasons to buy one over the other one. But before that, Apple were differentiating before the MacBook Air versus the MacBook Pro as the Air for regular consumer and the Pro for pro consumer, for like a specific professional that would get the Pro specifically for that. But when the M3 came, they actually lowered the price. They made an M3 base, which basically an Air has as well. So you would get the same MacBook Air pretty much inside, but with an upgraded screen, upgraded speaker, and with ports. So they kind of like they actually got more customers because of that. And I think they got, so before the MacBook Pro, people were getting, if you want to get the top of the line, the best quality, the best of the best, you get the Pro. If you're a specialist, a professional specifically, you're going to get the Pro, right? And now you can get the Pro even if you're not a professional, and even if you don't have the money to pay the top of the line, everything. And you still can get a Pro with, the main thing that you would buy the Pro for is the upgraded screen and the speaker. So it's pretty much the same customers that would buy Air. For example, this one, I guess, because there's always also an M4 available, the M3 with 8 gigabytes of RAM is going to lower in the price, not from Apple, but the third party. You can buy it even used, and I think it's going to get to like $1,300 to $1,000 refurbished, right? You can find something like this between $1,000 to $1,300. If you take consideration the M4, which is an Amazon, you can get $1,400 with a discount, maybe $1,300. So this one should be around $1,100, $1,200 or $1,000. And then you have the M2 with 16 gigabytes, which goes about $750 to $800 right now. And the M3 goes to $900. So between this would be like a small gap, about $200, $100, or $250, maybe $300 difference. So it's not a huge difference. That's why I thought that these two devices are going to be cross-shopped by a lot of people. So Apple kind of introduced the MacBook Pro for a regular consumer instead of going Pro consumers only. And now regular consumer has even more complicated kind of like options. You have the Air 13, you have the Pro 14, and you have the Air 15 inches. But let's say you're buying the MacBook for portability, right? Because this is the idea of having a MacBook or a laptop in general, so you can, go to places with your laptop. Even in your house, you can move around. You go to sitting on a couch, in a bed, so it would be comfortable to carry and use it. So in terms of portability, in my opinion, the 13 would be, the Air would be the best one, right? It would be no questions asked. A lot of people will say there's a small difference in terms of weight to the 14, but that small difference in terms of this amounts is kind of significant, and thickness as well. So if you would move in your house, or you go somewhere, if you're a student, you put in a small desk in like compact places, the 13, the Air, would fit more comfortably because is a smaller size and a thinner, and it's lighter. So that's going to be a lot more comfortable. If you want to do the Pro, you could do that as well. But just in my experience, I was actually grabbing the Pro less often when I needed like a fast or quick move in the house, or to go fast somewhere and do something, or in the tight spaces. I was grabbing the Air because it's just more convenient, just because of that. Because I didn't really care about the speaker and the screen quality if I do work, like even if you do browsing, web browsing, and find something informational, watch some YouTube videos, just basic stuff, work in some Excel or Word sheets, or just go into Google Sheets, do some kind of like light work, or even like a small light iMovie, that would be the same, would be kind of like if you go to iMovie, it's going to be that the amount of the speed, I would say, it would be enough. So that wouldn't be like a majority, like a main issue that I would have. So the main issue was for me is that this one is a little bit heavy, a little bit thicker, and just not as comfortable to move around. So I was tending to use the Air majority of the time. Now, if you're talking about upgrades, for example, if you're watching a lot of videos, movies on your computer only, right? If you don't use it, you don't watch it on a bigger monitor or on TV, then in some way that the Pro would be a better option. And I think that this was the idea of Apple when they introduced this one for non-professional people, that pretty much like entertainment, because you get better speakers and you get a bigger and supposedly a nicer screen. In my experience, when I watch side by side and I look at both, I don't really actually see much of a difference when you're watching a movie. They would say the HDR, well, actually the Pro is going to read HDR, but I guess in this time we don't have so much HDR content. So let's say if you're looking up YouTube, majority of this is going to be in standard definition and high definition, but it's not going to be HDR definition. And even movies, I mean, you need, first of all, I guess you would need like fast internet to get this kind of quality, 4K HDR, and it's not too easy to find all the movies or the content in HDR, and in some way not a lot of people enjoy it. Maybe it's going to be too bright for a lot of people. I barely watch any kind of HDR content right now. Of course, in the future, that's going to be maybe the standard, or maybe not. We don't know. But I mean, this is because of that reason. So if you specifically want to watch HDR, you can go only with a MacBook Pro. Because this is going to be the only option for you. I watch 1080p everything. Actually, I'm recording right now in 1080p on an iPhone SE3, 7-megapixel camera. So the idea is that you can, if you check in the video right now, you wouldn't see that there's not going to be a difference. So if you watched it until now, that wasn't important for you, the quality of 4K or 8K if you're watching the video on YouTube. So the most important, I guess, for you was the content. So it's not like the quality itself. Maybe you can watch on YouTube a lot of channels. They're going to be like a TV quality, like a movie quality. That's a nice thing. But the idea is that you kind of like have two options right now: to watch as an entertainment or watch this for information. For information, it doesn't actually really matter too much this. For me personally, when I watch movies, I don't really care for now about that. I just watch in 1080p, and I'm fine with that. And between these two, when you're watching the movies on both sides, right, you wouldn't see much of a difference. And even the screen size, you wouldn't see much of a difference as well. The sound, okay, so I'm gonna go to YouTube and then after I go to YouTube, I'm gonna just play a video so you can see the difference between them. And I don't actually see much of a difference, when I kind of like. Actually, another thing before I continue, the browser. I mean, not the browser, the ProMotion 120 gigahertz. You're getting here, you're not getting here. But in my experience, it could. I mean, if it bugs you, yes, you're gonna have to get the Pro, because the Air, you wouldn't be able to get it at all with a 120 gigahertz refresh rate. You get used to. Your eyes get used to. Some people don't even see the difference, so I don't think it's the most important. I mean, I don't think that's. I mean, for me personally, portability would be more important, and like ease of use for my particular needs than the 120 gigahertz refresh rate. So, but for you, it would be maybe different. So I'm not sure. Okay. All right, so let's continue. I'm gonna get both computers. I'm gonna turn on some trailer so you can see. How the quality actually looks. Let me find the trailer. Okay. So let's get this one.
Here I am. You asked for me. Here I am. You want to help me? Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
You asked for me. Here I am. You want to help me? Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
Whatever this is, Camp, be careful. Whatever this is, Camp, be careful. What do we know?
There were 5 shooters.
What do we know?
There were 5 shooters. This was a coordinated terrorist attack.
All right, so you can see here that actually the speakers, I would say that would be a huge difference in the speaker quality, because the speakers, loudness. This one has like a very loud speaker and really good quality. If you're using this specifically for watching movies only, that's going to be the best quality. This one has speakers, okay, you can still hear, but not going to be so loud as well. But in terms of screen quality, you could see that this one, would be, I would say, a little bit more immersing for that one. But this is only if you put them side by side. If you're actually removing one and just watching the other one, basically you're going to have pretty much almost same experience, because you got used to your eyes getting used to whatever you see. But if you're buying this device as a regular consumer, not as a pro, and you basically wanted to watch movies, YouTube videos, and you care about the mini LED screen, the bigger screen, and the speakers, this is specifically for you. But if you watch videos as well and movies, well, let's say you don't really care about that sound quality, or you can connect this external speaker to it, you care about portability, then the Air, and the price of course, so you're going to save some bucks, and the Air is going to be the best for you. Now, the ports, when you're talking about ports, and I think the ports are for pro users. For regular users, they don't actually use any kind of ports. I mean, who's going to use a HDMI or SD card, regular user, right? I mean, not too many people. I mean, you gotta have like something to connect to, right? You have the cable. So just a regular consumer, I don't think they're gonna have the cable in general and do this connection. Or if you want to put an SD card, you have a camera. And how many people have cameras? You know, not so many people as they have phones. So I guess the ports are specifically, I guess, as intended at the beginning, they were designed for pro users. So the ports, it doesn't really matter. Connecting to different displays, I mean, I don't think that you're buying this device to connect to a different, you know, display. You're buying a device for the reason that I just told you. But you have an option to connect to both, you know, connect to an external screen. But again, if you want to connect to an external screen, right, you have a specific job. Maybe a Pro is going to be a better option for you. And if you're buying a Pro, I don't think you would buy just a regular Pro. You'll go for the 16 gigabytes M4, or you would go for M4 Pro 16 gigabytes, maybe more gigabytes of RAM. So between these two is a very tough decision. The most important that I concluded is if you want the speaker and the screen size. Everything else is negligible. Screen size, speaker, portability. Yeah, portability is kind of like one thing that for a lot of people would be, and the price. So four things: portability, price, speakers, screen. This is what you need to decide. You need a screen that you kind of like prefer. Then you have this louder speaker that you wanted. You're gonna lose on portability, size. It's gonna be chunkier, and then you're gonna pay more for that. So I guess this is the main reason. So let me know what you prefer in the comments below. You prefer the less RAM, the bigger screen, nicer screen, and nicer speakers, compromise on portability, or you want to get like cheaper, save some money, get the more RAM, and get the more portability and less speakers. So thank you. See you in the next video.